Hi, I'm Greg,
Hi, I'm Will.
and welcome to another episode of Theme Parks and Patents.
Today we're talking about the splashless log on Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Disney World.
So this is an older patent that came out when they opened the Splash Mountains, not at Disneyland, but when they opened them a couple years later at Magic Kingdom
World.
In Magic Kingdom in Disney World. And then in Tokyo Disneyland, the Tokyo Disneyland has the same ride. The first Splash Mountain, those of you who've been to Disneyland know it's a single column of riders, and that opened back in 1989. And then 3 years later, in 1991, they opened the Splash Mountains for both, together with Magic Kingdom in Disney World in Florida. And they also opened the one in Tokyo at the same time. And this patent came out of Japan, and it looks like it was developed in unison with the Tokyo Land Development Company that runs the park there. And it was all Japanese inventors. So it looks like they made this. And the way they talk about it is that they're talking about some of the issues with the original Splash Mountain, particular that they're talking about how it's unpleasant to have all the water coming up over you, which does happen in Disneyland. And so they were trying to make a log that mitigates some of that splash that would come over into the cart on the riders.
It doesn't work. Seriously. The concept's good. It does work sometimes. There's splashback. Like, the splashback just gets you.
Yeah.
And then on that last drop, it just doesn't work.
It sprays you a little bit in the face.
Yeah.
But we just went. We're doing this because Tiana's open now. We rode Tiana's in Disney World. I think we're gonna go ride it in Disneyland too to compare, and we'll get some more footage of the logs there to show how they don't have some of these features. But I would say, out of my personal experience, the Disney World one is much less wet. Disneyland gets you soaked. Disney World at most gets kind of splash, and then it may hit the rocks and then come back, splash back at you.
Or this also happens on Dudley Do Rights at Universal. But it's like, if there's two paths on the side of you, it'll go up on the paths, then come back onto your lap.
Yeah, but it doesn't tend to go. I mean, at Disneyland it can come it was like a wave just comes over the car, the passenger cart, and dumps in on you, and that doesn't really happen in Disney World, I would say.
No.
So I don't.
Yeah, because I feel like at Disneyland they have a little sign at the loading station that says you may get wet, but Disney World doesn't have that.
I think Disney World has that too.
Oh, well, they don't anymore.
I think it's still there.
I
I'm
haven't
looking at the
seen
footage.
it.
All right. So we rode Tiana's. Do you have any thoughts on Tiana's?
Really good. It was a really fun ride. The first time I rode it was at night, and I really enjoyed that. There were some things that were broken. Most of the characters' mouths, none of the time, they weren't working. But the only one character whose mouth never, didn't work, was Lewis, the alligator. But none of the Mama Odie animatronics, their mouths didn't work.
Do we think Mama Odie's mouth works?
Yes, I've seen videos. Her mouth moves.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and then a bunch of the Tiana animatronics, their mouths doesn't move. Usually in the video she'd be like, but then when we rode, she'd be like.
The one on the lift hill when she's in the barn.
Yeah.
That one
But then all the others, she's except for the one at the end where she's singing, she's just like.
The second one got fixed.
Yeah,
the
they fixed
time
that.
We rode it. But the
And
third
then
one was still broken.
There's 2 times where we see Mama Odie as a projection. Whenever we rode it, that second projection just wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't on.
At the lift hill. That wasn't
Yeah.
ever working. So anyway, it was a fun ride overall.
Yep. Oh, here's another thing. I don't think I ever brought this up to my dad, but after watching the videos, after you come down that first lift hill that goes zoo, you're supposed to hear Tiana and Lewis being like, "Oh my God, where'd they go? We need to find them." But that did not happen when we wrote it.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it didn't work. There were a couple things that were a little funky.
So to the patent, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, this patent came out of Japan, obviously developed there, where they were trying to make a less splashless Splash Mountain. This would be after it opened at Disneyland. It was its priority goes back to about 1992, and I think that's the year they opened it in Japan. And then they also got this patent in the U.S. because it's the same one at Magic Kingdom. This is expired now. It's an older patent, but it's interesting to go back and look and see what they changed on the logs.
Yeah, didn't the Indiana Jones one expire too?
Yeah, they're both older.
Yeah, because now everybody uses that Indiana Jones patent at like Universal. They have Spider-Man, Transformers.
Yeah.
The Jurassic Park ride at like Shanghai.
That's all the same ride system.
Yeah.
So going through this, they came up with a bunch of different ways, and some of it's a little similar, but just slight differences of what was in Disneyland. So if we look at Figure 1, a couple of things they're doing to help with the splash. First, you have a log, and then there's a cutout on the front, and there is a cutout in Disneyland. And so what they seem to be saying is that the cutout is open upwardly. So if you look, the nose of the car is cut back, and then there's a lip down by 2 that open.
Yeah, because if you look at the patent, you can kind of see that on Figure 1.
So if you look at the ones in Disneyland, they have that cutout, but the nose would be almost as far out. So the nose that's kind of close to the number 10, it goes almost as far out as the 2 part, like the lip that's beneath it. So I don't know if that, and then they say it kind of curves around the sides. So that I'll go through that later. There's some better drawings, but that basically pushes the wave. If there's any waves, that pushes them out to the side instead of over on the riders. There's also Figures 1 and 2 show that, and then there's wheels. They also talk about these wheels 6, which we'll get into, that makes it so the car can't float up very. So you have wheels number 4 that go on the track on the bottom. You have wheels number 5 that go on the sides. And then
Okay, stop saying wheels like that, because you're saying I know you're trying to say wheels, but it sounds like wills.
Wheels.
Okay.
We have this problem every time. And then you have wheels number 6 that ride on a plate that can keep the log from floating up, so that it holds it down. So it can't, like if a wave was to kick it up. Those seem that would actually cause more splashing.
You want something I wonder about on this ride? Mm-hmm. You know how like if one of the lap bars isn't working, they'll come with this fun stick and like stick with this fun like little thing and stick in the log and they'll like do that and all the lap bars go up?
Yep.
I wonder how that works.
This is the lap bar release. They have that on most everything, even Dudley Do Rides.
Oh yeah.
So Figure 3 shows, it's the front basically showing that cutout that you see. And so you can see that the top is very much more set in than the lip down at 2. And then 11 shows the sides kind of opening to the side to help direct the waves. Figure 4 kind of shows more of the wheels. And then, you can even hard time. Wheels. WHELEELS.
Don't worry about it anymore.
And then it also shows 12, which was that in the earlier ones? So the first time they showed 12. So this is a channel, and this is going to link up to some other to like what is a rubber flange on the track to also help keep the water from splashing the passengers, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Figure 5. And so the main thing that is probably be different than Disneyland is 12 these channels on the side, which are going to hook into the track and to like a rubber piece and keep the water from coming up. And then they talk about how they have these concave flanges on the sides, 14, and then this cutout on the bottom, 13, which also helps to direct the water away from getting to the passengers in the car. And that shows in a later figure. So Figure 6 shows the wheels connecting to the track. They're kind of floating in space here in the cross section, but 6 is made to contact that plate 24, so the log can't float higher than they want it to, so they can keep it down. And then you have wheels that also run on a lower track, and then 5 the wheels that run on the side tracks.
Because on the Pirates ride at California, if you have like a bunch of like big people in your car, when you go down one of those hills, it's like really smooth, but then when you go down, it just kind of sinks, and you feel like you're gonna get stuck.
Yeah, but there's wheels on the bottom, and there's also wheels on the top to keep it in Splash Mountain to keep it from going up too high in the track. Figure 7 just shows the track. It's not very detailed. That's kind of what the flume you're riding in. Figure 8 shows that kind of rubber flange that's going to hook into the channel 12 and keep you from being splashed. Let's go back to. I was going to go back to Figure 6 and show that. So what this does, you can see when 27 is connected into 12. The idea here is that that's going to block any water, and so this would be like at the bottom of the drop hill, and so this should keep any water from coming up around the log, and this would almost stop all that water from coming up. So the only water would be coming up from the front. Figure 10 shows a good shot of where they think all these concave surfaces, what they're going to do. So you have the cutout in the front that's kicking the water to the sides. You have the cutouts on the sides, on the bottoms, which are putting the water to the sides as well. And then also that concave space underneath, which helps keep the water from getting up and getting the passengers. And Figure 9 shows the same thing. When you're going down the lift hill, sorry, not a lift hill, when you're going down the drop hill, where they think that front cutout will help direct the water around the passenger car compartment and keep people drier. Mm-hmm. And that's it on this one. It seems to be more of an improvement on the Disney. This came a couple years after Disneyland, and so it seems like that was the idea, is that people were getting too wet in the Disneyland one, and so they wanted to make. Obviously, this has better capacity. You can put the 8 riders in it at a time with the double seats, more than Disneyland, and then to try to make it so it's less wet. And I would definitely say that the ride at Disney World is less wet than the ride at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Anything else on this one? Tiana's Splash Mountain?
I just have a suggestion. So if there's like any Disney executives out there watching this, I have a suggestion. In the part where Mommy Odie's supposed to... Sorry, spoiler alert, so you might want to fast forward to the end. But when Mama Odie supposedly shrinks you, when she like splashes you with the stuff, they should have a little water effect where they spray some water on you.
Oh, it's like when they're splashed, when she's trying to make you small?
Yeah. Because, like, she's, like, has her stick, like, if you know in the movie, there's, like, the tub, and she has her stick, and it's, like, supposedly she's stirring her stick in the tub, and then she's like, let's make you all tiny, 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 tiny. That's what it sounds like. It literally sounds like she's just repeating Heidi. But, yeah, that's all I really have to say.
Okay. They could just spray some water on you.
Yeah.
That you'd like to
or you
wet.
could, like, go under a waterfall.
Sure, that'd be great. Get more wet. It's supposed to be less wet. The patent's for less wetness. So you're breaking the patent now.
Well, Dad, why don't you sign us off?
All right. Thanks, everybody. It's Will's job to sign us off, though.
Okay, bye. Bye, everyone.